doing, everybody? My name is Jax. No, hang on. No, it's not the right one. Hang on. I gotta do it again. How's it going, bros? My name is Wait. That's not the right one either. God damn it. What was it? Hello, everybody. My name is Wait. That's not the channel's name. That's not the intro. Sorry, everybody. Hey, this is Daniel Scratch Animations. Welcome back. I'm sorry. I know I said I recorded the day after I sent that video. I feel awful. Is that what you want to hear? Is that what you want to hear? No, I'm joking. It's just, school's been a pain in the ass. I've been kind of slacking off because I've been doing a bunch of college stuff early. And I guess, I can't because of all the rules. But, whatever. Anyway, we're back, and we're ready to read the first chapter, finally, for the first time in a long-ass time. We're reading Chapter 1 of You're Humaning You by madmaxtheblacks. I'm sorry it took me this long. It's just, everything's been going to shit. That, and I've been lazy, and I have work, so yeah. Anyway. Chapter 1, Descent into Hell. I was brought back to the world of the living by someone throwing a bucket of ice water on my face. Sputtering and coughing, I jerked awake, blinking water from my eyes. I looked around, trying to get my brain to working again. As I wiped the water from my face with my hand, I noticed that I was no longer in a desert. While I could consider that a very good thing, my new environment was much more intimidating. Oh god, sorry. I'm gonna try not to stop for right now because everything's gonna go to hell soon. I have to do homework right now. I'm gonna do it right after this, hopefully. I hope I don't procrastinate. Alright, here we go. I was currently in a large dark room that was filled with metal crates and cages. It looked like a form of shipping compartment. I've never seen a shipping compartment. So, the closest thing I've ever seen to shipping was truck driving, that's it. The ground I was laying on was metal and cold. I could feel it vibrating softly beneath my body. Whenever this place was, it was moving, and fast. I was instantly reminded of a train. Shifting my legs underneath me, I sat up slightly. Upon doing so, I became aware of the fact that I was completely and utterly naked. My uniform was gone, and I was now only wearing my birthday suit. Automatically reaching down, I covered myself with my hands, a blush spreading across my face. Shredding? Where did that come from? I am very horrible at reading stories, as you probably know from the last videos. The audio might be better because I'm walking in an open space right now, and I'm hoping, because I'm kind of yelling at the top of my lungs, hurting your eardrums, probably, but it's the only way you guys can hear me, so there you go. Hope you guys enjoy. Great. I go from frying outside in the desert to being buck naked in a dark enclosed space. At least I was out of the harsh sun, even if I had no clue how I got there. I blinked as a thought entered my head, causing me to frown slightly. Am I dead? Did I die and go to some weird afterlife? Looking around at my surroundings again, my frown deepened. If that's the case, then the church has some major explaining to do, because this wasn't the white fluffy happiness they promised. It seems slightly disordered. I think, hang on. You would too if some pony woke you up like that. The sound of voices behind me snapped me out of my daze. I quickly turned towards the noise. Looking around whoever spoke, my eyes fell on not another human being, but upon two small horses right in front of me. I noticed that one of them emptied the bucket in his hooves. I found that extremely odd, but pushed the feeling aside. As I looked at them, I felt, whoa, fuck, I slided too hard, sorry. I slided. It's because I'm using my tablet and it's a pain in the ass. I'm walking with my phone and my tablet and it's a pain in the ass. I'm reading this out loud. What was I? As I looked at them, I felt my frown return. They looked almost like horses, but there was something off about them. To begin with, they weren't very big. At first, I thought they could be foals, but they were actually full grown when I was close to look. They stood about 4 feet tall, from the ground to their heads, and both of their clothes were dark, steely gray color. Their manes a midnight black. They also had an image tattooed on their flanks. One mare had they were mares, shit! That voice didn't make any sense, now did it? I'm sorry everybody. I suck at this story reading. I'm gonna try to do girl voices as much as I can, and I'm gonna do the best I can with the main 6. Trust me, I will do my best. Anyway, where was I? Had a picture. One mare had a picture of a red rose with thorns, and the other a shiny pearl. Their faces were also off. Their cold, icy blue eyes were seemingly too big for their heads. The entire structure of their face was more akin to that of a human than a horse, but they still looked equine in appearance. Oh, excuse me. Oh, God. I need to eat. What happened to me? I couldn't really explain it out very well. It just looked wrong. And the more they stared at me, the weirder I felt. He's better looking than most of the dregs we find wandering the desert, one of the horses said, leaning towards the other and speaking in a hushed, feminine voice. My eyes widened in shock at that. They're speaking. They're actually talking! As my brain tried to process what it was seeing, the other horse replied, "Most definitely." As they spoke, they never took their eyes off me. I just sat there, staring at them agape. Talking horses. I'm sitting in a metal room with talking horses. It was official. I was dead, and this was some weird, twisted plane of limbo. I opened my mouth to say something to the freaky duo before me, but no sound came out. Instead, of pain lanced through my throat, causing me to wince. Great. Apparently, my newfound muteness followed me into the afterlife. Just what I fucking need. Sorry, I'm really getting into this story. I love this story. It's amazing. It's funny as hell, and it has really descriptive stuff. It's really fun. I like it. I hope you guys like it too. As I sat there grumbling about my misfortune, one of the horses straightened up and nickered softly. All right. Sorry. Damn it. It's a girl's voice. I'm sorry. I gotta do this. All right, she said, quickly turning and trotting toward one of the cages. Enough standing around. Let's get him caged up and stored with the others. I perked up at that. What? Caged up? Others? What is she talking about? I stared at them in confusion, trying to understand what exactly was going on. My eyes widened in shock as the forehead of the mare standing by the cage started to glow. As the light slowly emanated. I'm stupid. Anyway, I'm stupid today. From it, I looked on in awe. Is that a horn? I didn't have long to stare, as I was quickly lifted into the air by some unknown force. Struggling in vain, my wrists were quickly bound together by thick strands of rope, and a cloth gad was shoved forcefully into my mouth before wrapping tightly around my head. Afterwards, I was deposited none too gently into an awaiting cage. My God, I'm really getting into this story. I gotta slow down a bit. Oh, okay. Still fighting off the dizziness that accompanied my sudden movement, I felt the cage being lifted in the air. As the cage moved, I tried to reorientate myself into a more comfortable position, but unfortunately, the cage itself was too small. I was now stuck upside down with my ass in the air. It's horrible. Imagine what that would do to your neck. It's horrible. You'd die if someone really moved the cage. It's horrible. Anyway. The cage dropped to the ground with a loud thud, which caused the entire cage to reverberate and hit metal. I grunted in pain as the back of my head slammed into the steel floor of the cage. Once the stars stopped dancing in my vision, I forced my head up slightly and glanced around at my new surroundings. I was sitting at the end of a row of cages, each one with a human in it. The one right next to me contained a man. His wrists were bound, his mouth gagged, and he was naked as well. Unlike me, however, he was sitting upright. Lucky bastard. I squinted my eyes and took a closer look at him. There was something wrong with the way he looked. Sorry. But I couldn't quite put butt? Okay. I'm just gonna skip that word. Put my finger on it just yet. Something about the nose or maybe the eyes. I didn't really care though. At the moment, it was just a relief to see another human here beside me. Wherever here was. Sitting down, looking down the row of cages, I saw that each human was in the same situation. Bound, gagged, and naked. Some were just sitting there, staring off into the distance. Others were smashing their shoulders up against the bars of their cages, their cries muffled by their gags. It reminded me of something a feral animal would do when trapped, not an intelligent human. What's going on here? I could see that some of the humans were male and others were female. Wait, female. Naked females. Great. Now I'm blushing with my ass in the air. While I was lying there, extremely bothered, another horse entered the compartment and approached the first two. By the look of its build, I would hazard a guess that this one was possibly a male. Pearl, Rose, how's our new addition doing? He asked, glancing over at me. Unlike the two first horses, his coat was deep red color, and his mane was black. He stared down at me with cold, icy blue eyes that seemed to freeze my very soul. I stared back up at him, swallowing thickly through the gag. I don't like where this is going. So far, so good, one of the mares. Rose, if I'm going by the picture on their asses, said, flipping her mane out of her eyes. He didn't attack us on sight, so that's a plus. In fact, he seems kind of docile. He should fetch us a decent... I can't change the voices for these two. Hang on. I gotta... He should fetch us a decent price once he reaches Canterlot. Or once we reach Canterlot, the other one, Pearl, said. Leaning down to look in the cage at me. It'll probably help that he's better looking than... Better looking than what we usually find. Oh, damn it, it's still Pearl, damn it. Oh, hang on. It'll probably help that he's better looking than what we usually find. I just stared up at her with a blank expression, trying to register some of what she just said. Did she just call me good looking? I didn't know what she was comparing me to, but a looker I ain't. I was that antisocial kid that was getting facial hair and acne in the 5th grade, and it had followed me all the way to college. If I'm one of the better looking humans they've seen, then they couldn't have been looking very hard. My gaze drifted to the male next to me, and as I mused, I scrunched up my face as he studied my appearance. Oh, as I studied his appearance, sorry. I'll admit, he wasn't the best looking bloke I've ever seen, but then again, I wasn't one to go around judging others' appearances. He might be considered decent looking to someone. Okay, I was lying through my teeth. He had a face only a mother could love. He was ugly with a capital UGLY. He's also quite muscular. The fourth voice chimed. By the looks of it, his muscle tone is decent. Turning my gaze away from Mr. Ugly beside me, I glanced around the source of the new voice. Another mare floated over, hovering in the air thanks to a pair of wings on her sides. I rolled my eyes and growled slightly. She was a Pegasus. You know what? I'm actually not that surprised anymore. Unicorns of magic and Pegasi. Oh my! Wherever I was, it most certainly wasn't Kansas. Oh god, sorry. Or home for that matter. Hell, I didn't even think I was on Earth anymore. As the mare approached, I craned my neck to get a good look at her. Her coat and wings were blue, most borderline darkish in color, and her mane was yellow. At the Pegasus's words, a round of snickers broke out among the other horses. She huffed and rolled her eyes at her companions with an annoyed expression. What? I like the look of his muscle structure, she said, ruffling her feathers. Yeah, the red unicorn snorted. His laughter hadn't quite met his eyes. I bet you have your eye on one particular muscle. At that, the others burst into laughter as the Pegasus mare glared at them, blushing heavily. Her wings were starting to stiffen slightly. I, however, with all my intellect, didn't understand what they meant. One particular muscle? What is he talking about? Oh God. My face went bright red as I groaned inwardly as I realized what they were talking about. Anyways, hang on, sorry, I messed up. Anyways, sorry, the Pegasus said, flapping her wings to loosen them while she continued to glare at her companions. I came to inform you that the conductor said we'll be arriving at our first stop shortly. All right, let's start getting that ready then. Sorry, the stallion said, a wicked smile spreading across his muzzle. I felt an icy chill run up my spine, causing me to shiver. I have a really bad feeling about this. It was around 20 minutes before the train came to a stop, and things began to happen. At least I think it was 20 minutes. It was kind of hard to tell when you're locked in a cage with your ass in the air. During that time, several more unicorns had entered the compartment, bringing a crate of materials with them. Placing the crate on the ground, they began walking down the row of cages, taking some humans out of their cages while leaving others alone. Mine was one of the cages they ignored, passing by without even glancing in at me. I wasn't sure if that was a potentially good thing or a bad thing. Grouping the selected humans in the center of a compartment, the unicorns waited until they had they had all the humans they needed before beginning to herd them out of the room. And any unruly human met the end of a long stick that looked horrifyingly like a cattle prod. When the last of the humans were escorted out of the compartment, the group of unicorns approached the cage next to mine, which contained Mr. Uglyface. Ripping his cage open, they pulled him out with their magic, and into the middle of the room. He struggled the entire way, but it was pretty much pointless. I could see no way for him to stop whatever it was going to happen to him. I cast a glance at the red stallion and felt fear well up inside of me. I swallowed. My throat was suddenly very dry. I didn't know what was about to happen, but that look in his icy eyes told me that it wasn't good. That wouldn't be good, sorry. Oh, I really hate this part. This is what I meant by really descriptive in some points. Alright, he said, glancing over at the other unicorns. This last one is a special order from Miss Stardust. For one Miss Stardust. Rose walked up out of the... Wait. He said, this one... Okay. Rose walked up out of the darkness, a clipboard held aloft to her magic. It says that... Oh, hang on. It says... I can't change these voices. Maybe I'll just give her a raspy one. It'll sound like a lot like a rainbow, so I'm sorry. I can't do girl voices, it's impossible for me. It says here that she wants him marked, she said, consulting the papers on the clipboard with an uninterested air. Goddamn. The way she said marked made me shiver slightly. I could only feel my heart rate increase as I tried desperately to calm myself. I watched as they lowered the poor soul onto the floor. Thankfully, due to my position, coupled with the lip of the cage, I wasn't able to see what was going on. However, nothing prevented me from hearing it. One of the unicorns, a green mare, lifted the lid off the crate they had brought in. Reaching down, she pulled out a short iron pole. There was another piece of metal attached to one end of it, shaped like some sort of hollow star. It almost looked like a branding iron. My eyes widened as I realized what they were about to do. Oh no. Oh no. Oh hell no. I began to struggle weakly against my bindings. Pearl shot me an amused look. The green unicorn's horn glowed brighter at the end, and the end of the brand began to glow white hot. Approaching the prone man just out of my field of vision, she held the branding iron high in her magic. My eyes snapped closed and she lowered the brand quick, but I could not block out the resulting noise. A horrible hissing noise filled the air, followed by the smell of burning flesh. A muffled cry of pain echoed around the compartment as the poor soul tried to scream through his gag. But there was another hiss followed by another scream. I cringed as I realized they had branded him twice. Slowly, with great trepidation, I opened my eyes. The other human around me were silent, huddled in a corner of their cages, shivering in fear. I could hear the now branded human whimpering quietly and is still lying just out of my field of vision. This isn't happening, I thought. There's no way that this can be real. It has to be a dream, a nightmare, anything but reality. There's no way that this can get any worse. It also says here that she wants him to be neutered, Rose said. Eyes drifted to the bottom of the clipboard, a small smile touching her lips. My last statement was not a challenge, universe. It was not a challenge. The unicorn mare returned the branding iron to the box before pulling out what appeared to be small pair of garden shears. That poor bastard. That's not from the story, that's from me. And I bet all you boys out there, all you dudes with penises and like shit, man. It's harsh. It's gonna be painful. I mean, the branding iron we could live by, but losing that which gives us ability to pass on our seed. God, it's horrible. Okay, here we go. Small garden shears. As they glinted in the low light, I stared in horror. There's no way in hell those should ever be used for neuting anything. I immediately shut my eyes again, not wanting to bear the witness to the horrors of what were about to take place. I was struggling hard not to vomit with the gag in my mouth. The sounds of hooves echoed around the compartment. I followed by an eerie silence. The tension in the air was so thick you could cut it. Okay, maybe the best choice of words given the current situation. The silence continued for several more seconds, accompanied by the soft sound of something moving. A small whimper echoed around the room as they moved him into a better position. Oh God, I don't want to keep reading this, but I have to for you guys. And I'm sure you don't want me to read this too, but it's gonna be hard. Okay. The sound of metal scraping on metal could be heard as the unicorn opened the shears. I screwed up my face, trying to block out the sound, but to no avail. A brief pause followed, then a sudden swish, and I didn't see it happen. I never wanted to see it happen. But the sound that echoed around the metal prison, as those unicorns forever took away what made that wretched soul a man, followed by that bone-chilling scream, will forever haunt my darkest nightmares. It was in that moment that I knew that I had definitely died. Only I wasn't in paradise, nor was I in limbo. I had died and gone to hell. After they hauled the poor soul away and finished cleaning up after the procedure, the rest of the unicorns hosed the remainder of us humans down with freezing water. I hardly noticed the temperature, however, as I was still in shock over what had happened. Just the other day, I was at work trying to make enough money to go to college. Now I find myself in a hellish land that could I have only possibly done. What could I have possibly done to deserve this fate? I mean, I didn't live by the Bible, but that doesn't mean I was a jackass either. I was kind, generous, and polite, only if they deserved it. I treated others with respect and loved my parents deeply. My parents. That was another thing. If I was truly dead, I felt bad that my parents would have to deal with the funeral. No parent should ever have to bury their own child. But on the other hand, what if I hadn't died and was just missing in this strange new land? How long would they search for me before they gave up hope? Were they stuck here? Could I ever get back home? Home. That was another thing in an endless list of things. This was clearly not Earth, as it was made abundantly clearer by the talking horses, magic, and from the behavior I've seen so far, stupid humans. But if this wasn't Earth, then where was here? All these thoughts busted in my head as tears slowly rolled down my face. The train lurched into motion and continued on its way. For the next several days, the same thing would happen over and over again. The train would stop at an unknown location, and the unicorns would return and choose a handful of humans before escorting them away. It was always the same group of unicorns, too. This caused me to believe that they were all probably, part of a large group of horses that captured and sold humans. Some of the humans would require branding, and others would require to be neutered or spayed. I'm not even going to go into the details of that process, but believe me, it was not pretty. The unicorns would sometimes bring more humans on as well, shoving in the many empty cages that were stacked in the compartment. It may have been luck or not, but they never bothered me during those events. It seemed that they had other plans for me. What those plans were, I had no idea, but I was not looking forward to them. After completing the procedure, the unicorns would then hose all the remaining humans down with a blast of frozen water, and the train would be on its way again. At first I didn't understand why they were spraying us with icy water, but after a few days I finally understood. Let's just say that it had something to do with the fact that there were no bathrooms in the cages. At least I had the common sense to do my business in the corner of my cage, having thankfully managed to rate myself. Most of the other humans, however, just did their business on themselves. Each time I saw this, I shuddered and cringed in disgust. Am I really the smartest human here? The horse is fed once a day, if we were lucky. At least, I think it was once a day. It was hard to tell when there was no accurate way to tell time. Determine if it was day or night, sorry. I spent most of the time deep in thought or sleeping, so I had long since lost sense of time. The meal consisted of half of a piece of slightly moldy bread, as well as a few mouthfuls of water. The lack of nutrition hit me hard. For the first couple of days, my stomach swelled up due to the lack of food. Hang on, sorry. You're gonna hear some things because I'm in my room now. You're gonna hear things. Give me a second. I'm volume my TV down right now. Yeah, I'm gonna turn off my fan right now, so you don't have to worry about that. Sorry. Here we go. It's 30 minutes in. Here we go. Where was I? Consisted of half a piece of moldy bread, as well as a few mouthfuls of water. The lack of nutrition hit me hard. For the first couple of days, my stomach swelled up due to lack of food. And by the 6th day, I was losing weight quickly. It was after the 8th day that I had begun to feel extremely weak. I had started to have small fits of dizziness, and I would sometimes black out for short periods. I needed something to eat. My mouth was constantly growling at me. Oh, my stomach, was constantly growling at me, threatening to start consuming itself. It wasn't all bad, however. At least my burns from the desert were slowly starting to heal. How far am I? Oh god, it's almost over, okay. The horses left us alone for the most part, outside of the feedings and loading and unloading the humans. Even so, I saw the first 4 horses I had met whenever we were moving. The others would only appear when it was time to unload the next batch of humans. The 2 female unicorns, both of whom I had learned through eavesdropping, were twin sisters. The red unicorn stallion tended to just make sure we were fed and cleaned. Other than that, they were pretty much left to their own devices. There were 1 or 2 odd instances when one of the sisters would pull a human male out of his cage and carry him off somewhere for several hours before returning him to his cage. The human would always look exhausted afterwards, and I tried not to think about what was happening when they were gone. Luckily, they never showed real interest in me, or if they did, they hid it well. The blue Pegasus mare, on the other hand, seemed to take a special interest in me since I had first arrived. She had spent more time around me than any other human. In between feedings and the exoduses, I don't know how to pronounce that word, she would just rest upon the top of my cage. As she sat there, she would chat with me. The entire conversation was one-sided, but she didn't seem to care. As she talked, she would use the same tone of voice and mannerisms as humans back home would use with a cow or horse. Not only was this slightly calming, but also pretty much confirmed that the humans on this world were no more than animals than these horses. I also didn't mind the conversation so much, as it gave me a chance to study her up close. Her coat was a lovely shade of blue, almost to a mix of cyan and sky blue. It had a soft texture to it, very similar to horses back home, only softer. I had startled her when I had first reached through the bars to stroke her, but when she saw I wasn't going to hurt her, she let me run my fingers through her coat. She seemed to enjoy the feeling immensely because it soon became a routine. She was flying down onto my cage. She would reach up and give her a quick scratch, and she would talk to me about random stuff. She also had one of those weird tattoos on her flanks. It appeared to be a sun, hidden partly behind several wispy clouds. I had run my fingers over it and found that it was the same texture as the other fur around it. It appeared that the only difference between the mark and the rest of her body was the color. Was it that to signified how she actually got it, or how she actually got it? I had no clue, but it did look kind of cool. The way it blended in perfectly into the blue fur of the flank was almost hypnotic. Her mane and tail were a bright yellow color. They both had a kind of wind tossed into them, tangled and swirled around her head and shoulders. In fact, it looked like she hadn't touched her brush or comb in days. She probably didn't mess with them much, as her mane would just become messy again, and next time she was flying through the air. Her eyes were a bright violet color, and appeared to glow slightly. Even in the dimmest lights, they seemed to glimmer and sparkle as she talked. A smile on her face, all things considered, she was actually very pretty, as far as talking horses went. It was through these conversations that I learned that the Pegasus mare's name was Sunny Breeze, but most of her friends called her Sunny. She had been the one who had found me passed out in the desert when she was out scouting for more humans in the earlier hours of the morning. Before the sun had risen, she had carried me back to her benefactors, the Red Stallion and the twins. As the days went on, I soon realized that Sunny appeared to be very taken with me, which was fine with me because she would sneak me extra pieces of bread. On rare occasions. She also managed to get me small pieces of apple when no one was looking. If it wasn't for her help or the company she provided, I would have gone crazy aboard that horrid train. It had been around 2 weeks since I was brought aboard the train by Sunny. When we finally reached our final destination, I had awoken from a dreamless sleep at the sound of doors opening and closing. I was only aware that the floor wasn't vibrating anymore. It took me a second to realize that meant the train had come to a stop somewhere. I tried to wipe the sleep from my eyes with my bound hands. As I did so, the sound of multiple hooves drew nearer. Curious, I turned my head, searching for the source. I watched as 20 or so unicorns enter the compartment. They were a mixture of the usual gang, with a few new faces mixed in. They began to open cages one by one and herded the humans out. They were taking everyone. Most of the humans struggled against their bindings, but were quickly silenced by a prod from a taser stick. There was a small handful of humans, however, that went willingly. When the unicorns finally reached my cage, I was ready for them. They opened the door, and I hurried out to join the rest of the humans. I might not like how we're being treated, but I was not about to get shocked by the horses. I figured that if I behaved well, they wouldn't have a reason to hurt me, right? As we waited for the other humans to join the herd, I stretched, groaning, and my limbs cracked and popped. It felt good to be able to stand and walk again after spending 2 weeks stuck in a small cage. My hands were still bound, but at least the gag had been removed. Then he had determined that I did not need it, and was convinced that I wasn't going to bite anyone. I was not about to prove her wrong. Speaking of the mirror, I thought, looking around the compartment. Quickly, I spied her hovering near the ceiling, eyes scanning the crowd of humans as she kept a close eye on them. Her eye fell upon me, and a small smile touched her face as before her gaze moved on. Eventually, the unicorns gathered all the humans into the center of the compartment. They hosed us all down one last time. I shivered as the fizzing water washed over me. Shaking the water off of me, I spat out some liquid and got in my mouth. Once the unicorns were satisfied with how we looked, they hit us with a blast of warm air from their horns, drying us instantly. Once that was over, they herded us forward out of the compartment and into the blinding light of day. Well, that was the first chapter. God, that was the longest one. And there's longer ones, man. It's horrible. Well, I hope you all enjoyed it. I certainly did. It was very hard to read more because of everything. I'm sorry if you heard background noises and stuff. I'll try to be more quiet in the background later. Well, I hope you all enjoyed this one, and this is Daniel Scratch Animation saying bye.